Hello, my name is Terry Locklear from Distance Education at UNCP, and you're watching the Black and Gold Report on WFXB Fox.
Hello Braves fans, and welcome to this week's edition of the Black and Gold Report, a program all about UNC Pembroke athletics. I'm Kevin Freeman, and this week on the show we'll be joined by head football coach Pete Shinnick, and on the second half of the program we'll talk to head volleyball coach Jeff Billington. But as always, we're joined by Coach Shinnick. Coach, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here after a win. A hard-fought 42-34 win over a pretty gritty Glenville State team, arguably maybe the best team you've played up to this point. Assess the game for us, if you would.
Well, they jumped out on us early, and kind of shockingly a little bit, because they took the ball and just kind of drove it right down our defense there and pounded away at us. And then we get a turnover, and Luke misreads the coverage, and we give the ball right back to him. So before we could do anything, we're down 14-0. And I really felt like we kind of started lethargically. We did not get off to the typical start that our guys are used to and that we're used to as coaches. Very pleased, though, with how we responded from there and kind of what we did from that point on. We talked last week, and I sort of scouted the Pioneers as being a team who preferred to throw the ball, but they had a two-headed monster this week. They had Joe Messidou and Kareem Alexander. They had about 250 yards rushing between the two of them, and they really gave your team trouble, particularly during the first half. Why were they able to run the ball so well on you? Well, they came out and did some things that we hadn't seen. They really hadn't been a two-back tight end team prior to playing us. And I think when we talked last week, we said they're going to throw the ball probably 60% of the time, run the ball about 40%. And they had done that in the 3 games that we had. And they came out and they found something. And we just, we were off. As you watch the film, I mean, we're about a half a second late on most of our guys filling and getting into the gaps that they needed to. And Glenville State did a great job of just exposing that and then sticking with it as well.
And I'm sure you would do the same thing. If you were getting 5 and 6 yards every rush, you might as well stick and keep giving it to the running backs until the defense can prove they can stop him, right?
No doubt.
Okay, well, they were moving the ball almost at will, as you said, during the first quarter and going into the second quarter. What was going through your mind then when they were going through the defense, and what kind of adjustments did you make in the second half to control their rush a little better?
Well, what was going through my mind was, I didn't think we were that far away when you're watching it, but we were just giving up 5-6 yards a pop, and so extremely frustrating for our players on the field and for the guys on the sideline. It was agonizing. Some of the adjustments that we made were just to get guys a little closer to the ball and just make sure that they understood, when they see this is what's going to happen and this is where they need to be. So I think we cleaned up some of that in the second half, and then they started doing what they've done, the 3 games prior, and went to throw the ball, which we knew they could do pretty well.
Did you put more people in the box in the second half, or did you just tell the existing people just to pack it up a little bit? As
well,
you
we
said?
Rotated a little bit. We changed a couple things up and just went with a couple different fronts and a couple different ways to get people closer to the ball, because like you say, they were just getting, it's almost like he was falling for about 4 or 5 yards, but we just needed to do a better job, and I think later we started to.
Yeah, they almost had, I think, 290 yards or so against you in the first half. Did you feel pretty good despite that being only down 1 score at halftime? It arguably could have been a lot worse.
Oh, I felt great, to be honest with you. That was to be 21-14, and really our offense, I think, had been on the field about 9 minutes. This is the least amount of plays that our offense has run in one half, and so we had the ball, I think, 5 times. We turned it over once. We scored on 2 of them. We went 3 and out to start the game, and then 3 and out to end the half. So, to be within the game and be in reach felt really good for our guys, and that's why I told them at halftime. I said, we can make up this point deficit. We just got to get a couple stops on defense.
Right.
Well, you're up, let me ask you this. You're up 6 in the second half. You're up 27-21. You've got the ball pretty deep in their territory. You choose to go for it instead of kicking a field goal that would put you up 2 scores. Why go for it in that situation? Is it still a little too early in the game for you to start having to think about those kinds of things, perhaps?
Well, you know, as you've seen the last couple of weeks, we've gone through some interesting mishaps on our field goal and our extra point. So we had just bobbled a snap. The extra point before, and then we got it cleaned up and we're able to kick the extra point from the next touchdown, and then we got into that area and I just felt like, you know, we're down there at the 2-yard line, let's go ahead and get a touchdown instead of a field goal and kind of put this thing away. Didn't work, obviously, but it still made them, you know, gave them a long field, and then I think we were able to get it back the next drive and get the touchdown that I was looking for.
Yeah, at the very worst, you put them starting on their own 2-yard line. Real quick, Coach, you had 216 yards rushing, you had 204 in the air, a very nice balance, other than only running 68 plays, which is a little less than you want. Is this the kind of balance that you want?
It really is, and you know, we want to run somewhere around 80 plays a game. I think this is the first time we've been under 80. But we're going to try to, yardage-wise, match what we do both on the ground and in the air.
All right, Coach. Well, when we come back, we'll talk more to Shinnick about the upcoming game against Catawba.